Hello everyone, this is Doomhammer with the 2007-2008 32-team franchise team recap of the Detroit Lions. The Lions went 6-10 in this Madden scenario here. And again, there are many weapons on this team that makes them fun to play with. Yes, there was Jon Kitna, and Jon Kitna was a very reliable quarterback. He was someone that, he was the top 5 passing yards as a quarterback. And of course, Calvin Johnson over here was the number 2 wide receiver in the league for receiving yards with 1,583. So they had a very, very dynamic offensive opportunity with Calvin Johnson, Roy Williams, Jon Kitna. The only issue was they weren't able to string that along with very many wins, going only 6-10. And they do have the 7th pick in the 2008 NFL draft. But some of these highlights of Calvin Johnson Jr. are just insane. I mean, for his rookie year, I know he just took the league by storm there. Whether he was single coverage, double coveraged, it didn't really matter. Jon Kitna is getting up there in age, and so he was okay. There were times that I was impressed with him, and then there were times that I was not. And I can't get on him too hard because he was the fifth overall in quarterback passing yards. So he still had an impressive performance in the passing game. But I was always curious that, well, what if the Detroit Lions leveled up, got a better quarterback? Could we have done more with this team if there was some better quarterback play in general? But again, it's very hard to not have a good season as a quarterback when you're throwing to Megatron. So here's another deep bomb to Calvin Johnson Jr. Yeah, whether it was a deep bomb, whether it was a short slant, Calvin Johnson just did it all. And for a while there, he was the number 1 leading wide receiver. And he lost out to being the number 1 by 13 yards to Greg Jennings of the Packers. Just 13 shy of the division rival. There he goes, another dynamic catch right there. Just making it look easy. And that was a beautiful one right there. Dive for the end zone. There wasn't always just Calvin Johnson. There were times that Roy Williams really picked up the workload, as you can see, with 1,087 receiving yards, which is still very impressive, especially being as a number 2 wide receiver, and had 9 touchdowns. So when it wasn't going to Johnson, there was Roy Williams picking up the slack and being the reliable number 2 target. And Sean McDonald, simple 3rd string receiver. Again, he only had 214 yards, but because of just how he played, he did get a few highlights that made it worth having his own reel in these Detroit Lion highlights. And there he is, just mowing over the Rams defender. And then Dan Campbell, the tight end. Again, he was just a mediocre tight end, only had 404 yards, 2 touchdowns, but made a few plays here to make it worth a highlight reel for him too. And I'm very optimistic about how this team will progress in this next year. I'm going to look and see what QB options are available to kind of bolster this team. Because at first, they started out the season horrible. They were on track for the number 1 overall pick, but were able to turn their season around to being 6-10, which isn't much of a turnaround, but they exceeded how I thought they would be playing because they got a few wins at the end. As you can see, Kevin Jones, solid year as a running back. I mean, maybe I could use an upgrade at running back. I'll see what I can do. But 812 yards, 4 rushing touchdowns. Just a mediocre season. I'm sure there's a way to upgrade. But here's a dynamic run by him, though. Spinning, shedding tackles, all the way to the end zone. There we have Duckett getting a touchdown. Another touchdown for Duckett. And another one. Now, Tatum Bell had a decent performance with the Lions here as a number 2 running back, 370 yards, rushing, 2 touchdowns. I saw him as a little bit more of the receiving back, third down back kind of style, even though his receiving yards aren't as impressive. Oh, there's the one where I've had so many onside kicks, and whenever I get one that works, I always go with it. And here's a little trick play that worked for me in the season. Faked out the Bears there with the field goal kicker flick touchdown pass. And here we go with a kick return touchdown. And here you have it. They were the 12th ranked offensive team, which is very impressive. As for passing, they were top 8, so they 8th in total passing. And as you can see, their rushing was 19th. When we look at their defense, they were 9th in total, total points per game. They were 9th. Now we move on to defense, where they were the 32nd in yards, least yards allowed. So the worst yards allowed, second worst passing yards allowed. And then, of course, they were the 31st with rushing yards allowed as well. And then least points allowed, they were 31st. So they have a lot of work on their defense to improve to be competitive. But there you have it, the 6-10 Detroit Lions with the 7th overall pick. Look forward to sharing more of these stories with you as we progress. Thanks for watching.